Om Bhadram Karnebhi Shrunuyama Deva Bhadram Pashe Makshabhir Yajatra Sthirai Rangai Stuštavansas Tanubhi Vyashema Devahitam Yadayuhu Swastina Indro Vruddashrava Swastina Pusha Vishwaveda Swastina Starksho Arishtanemi Swastino Brahaspatir Dadhatu Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. From last Wednesday, we started the study of Prashnopanishad with Shankar Bhashya. And what we studied last time is that Prashnopanishad belongs to the Brahman portion of Atharva Veda. And the Sangita portion of Atharva Veda, what is also called Mantra portion, we have the Mundak Upanishad. And so we saw that it is sequel to Mundak in a way. Because whatever is there in the mantra portion, normally its vinyog is told in the Brahmana portion. But when it is the matter of Brahma Vidya, there is no question of vinyoga. And yet Brahman will be there. So in the Brahman, what will be there? Some little elucidation of the some portions which have come there. That is how it is the sequel. It is not a continuation. That means Mundaka is not incomplete without Prashna. Neither is Prashna incomplete. So sequel not in that way. But certain matters taken up in Mundak, it was not necessary to elaborate them. But when you have come to the Brahman portion, they have been elaborated. And it has its own way to impart Brahma Vidya to us. And the form or the name Prashnopanishad is because every Upanishad is Prashnopanishad. But here there are 6 sadhakas. And they are sadhakas. They are all forest dwellers, tapasvis. But they are stuck up at some point, each separately. And when they meet together and discuss, they do not find the light. So they think this Pippalada knows everything. So if you go to him, we'll get our problem solved. So it is in this form, 6 questions and their answers. So it is called Prashnopanishad. And we promised last time that this is the only thing we have discussed, but our normal way is to discuss the Anubandha Chatushtaya first. With every study, it is absolutely necessary to study the Anubandha Chatushtaya, especially in context with that Upanishad. So, let us think of that now. Now they are all interrelated. Let us first think of prayojan, the purpose of the study of Prashnopanishad. And actually, we have to understand the purpose of our life, human life. And we should not allow the mind to digress and have more than one aim. So, the purpose of our life will be the same as purpose of the study of the Prashnopanishad. Purpose of the study of Prashnopanishad should not differ from the purpose of our life. Otherwise, it will have no meaning in our life. And so, We have discussed it several times, but it is imperative to discuss it every time. So what could be the purpose of life, aim of life, fulfillment of life? It is not something which we decide I will become a doctor or engineer or all that. Because it does not solve the problem of life. Now this purpose can be described in various ways. The normal, routine way, I would say, is that we are struggling for moksha. We want freedom. Now what freedom? All young people especially, even children, they want freedom. And that is such a dangerous freedom. It is not freedom. They want freedom of the senses. They want freedom of the mind. It is the darkest slavery. We are neither indriyas nor mind. And if we allow freedom to the senses, we are bound slaves. If we allow freedom to the mind, we are bound slaves. So in this language, if we have to talk, we want freedom from the senses. We want freedom from the mind. That is one way. Now this talk of freedom becomes valid only if we feel we are bound. So we have to think in that line now. What is it in which we are bound? Evidently, our desires. Our desires rule us. And our desires not only rule us this life, but they take us from life to life, life to life. And we meet with this birth and death and suffering in every life. So we have to feel that we are bound by our desires. And from where these desires come? Because we are incomplete, because we are imperfect. Because we are imperfect, so these desires come. Because we are incomplete, we struggle to become complete. From that the bondage comes, if the struggle is not proper. So, unless we feel this, that we are bound, heart bound by ropes, then only we will seek freedom, or freedom can be the aim of our life. Now there again, the routine idea of freedom is freedom from the necessity of being born again. That is the commonest conception of freedom. I don't want to be born again. I want freedom from the cycle of birth and death. That is the freedom a real sadhaka seeks. Opposite to what the general public want. For me personally, if you ask, this idea does not appeal me at all. So, what could be the purpose of my life? Perfection, purnatva, completeness. Because I am imperfect, that means this not to be born again and all that, they become side issues. They become the byproducts. If we are perfect, we will not be required to be born again. Another beauty is that if we want, if divine providence wants, we may be born again. What is that? Not compelled to be born. But we may be born as God's instruments. We may be born. No, God has no freedom that way. God says, I have to be born again and again because He wants to protect this world which He has created. So, if we have this perfection as the aim of life, two things may happen. Normally, we will not be required to be born again. It will become a side issue or byproduct. On the other hand, just as I told, with free will, we can be born again to help humanity. So this appeals to me more. We feel at every point we are not what we could be, we are not what we should be, we are not what we could have been, and we struggle for that. Now this struggle is conscious or unconscious. All the struggles in the world, if you see, is the struggle for freedom. Freedom from what here? Freedom from being influenced by anybody. That is the freedom. Freedom from being influenced by anybody, including our body-mind. We are surely not body-mind. We are surely the consciousness bound somehow or other in this body and mind. So we wanted to get released from the clutches of this body and mind. And one step further, we want freedom from these limitations of I consciousness. I consciousness as it appears today is very much bound to this body and mind because it is wrong. So we get another dimension of our aim here. We are all suffering due to avidya or wrong knowledge. Avidya is not just, again, is not just absence of knowledge. It is wrong knowledge. And when the knowledge is wrong, which is the basis of every activity of ours, we are bound, we are imperfect. So we may put this aim in another way. We want real knowledge. We want to know what we really are. We want to know what the world really is. We want to know wherein lies the oneness of this world. We want to know what is the real nature of the reality itself. So this is the purpose of life. And this is the purpose of study. In the Mundaka Upanishad, it was clearly stated, Shaunaka hovai mahashalo. Shaunaka was a great householder. And due to the evolution of his consciousness, he felt that there is a common reality in the world. And so he wanted to know what is its real nature. He wanted to have that real nature. He wanted to possess that common reality. And so he went to Angiras in the forest. So, all Vedanta is search for unity, search for the common entity. I think we discuss this problem of the purpose of life. One more point. What could give us the sense of fulfillment? Let us think of this. Because a man feels he is half imperfect, he thinks, if I marry, my life is fulfilled. And does he get fulfillment? He feels a sort of no tension, that's all, for some time. Sometimes it creates more tension. You know, in the children's book or fairy books or story books, one boy and one girl, they are struggling. And finally, the book will end telling, and then they married and they lived eternally happy, which is never the case. We feel like that. We feel that if we earn more and more money, our life will be fulfilled. And some people are mad after this. And whatever amount of money they get, it is never fulfilled. And small boys, if I become a doctor, if I become an engineer, if I become a sannyasi, becoming a sannyasi, becoming a doctor, becoming an engineer, when we become that, we find life is not fulfilled. So what it is that which can give us fulfillment of life? And it is this very thing. If we realize what we really are, if we realize that we are perfect, I would not say from our birth, from before our birth. Perfection is our real nature. Somehow it appears to get lost. And we want to regain that. In the Vedantic books, the aim of life is described as Swarajya Siddhi, attainment of one's own kingdom. It is our own, but due to wrong knowledge, we don't have that. So I think in sufficient ways I have discussed the same point, the purpose of life. What will make us feel that our life is fulfilled? Let me give an example. Sri Ramakrishna's disciple, Swami Saradananji, was a man of very thoughtful nature. He was standing on the railway platform waiting for some train. His sevak felt that Maharaj has come too much to the age. So he says, Maharaj, be careful. He said, what for? You may fall down, Maharaj. What if I fall down? Maharaj, that engine is coming, it will crush your body. What if it crushes my body? And he says, then I have done what is to be done in life. I have achieved what is to be achieved in life. What happens if the engine crushes me? Understand? That is fulfillment. In Sanskrit, in Indian languages, there are two words which we use glibly. Krita Krutya, Krutartha. That is what he said. he said in Bengali, Kruta Krutya means I have done what is to be done. Krutartha means I have achieved what has to be achieved. And it is such a thing that after that, even if I die, so-called, even if this body is crushed, what is that to me? I am not this body. This is the real fulfillment. Another anecdote I will tell. Holy Mother Sarda Devi came to Dakshineshwar when her age was 18 or 19. And looking at a full moon of Purnima, she is praying to God. Oh God, this full moon, praised by all the poets. Do you know what the poets say? Array, that little black spot is nothing. How beautiful it is. Some people would say that black spot is his beauty. But Holy Mother is telling, even this full moon, praised by so many poets, oh God, has some black spots. May my mind not have any black spot, please. So what will you call it? Craze for perfection. Craze. So I think now this purpose of life has been described. Now, Adhikari, who is fit to get this purpose? Of thousands of people, thousands, not thousand, of thousands of people, one or two struggle for this perfection. So I will approach this problem of what is sadhak. The routine way is there, sadhana, chatushtaya, sampanna, mukshu. But I will describe it, I might have previously, in a very different way. Swami Vivekananda has given an example that a tiny ant is crawling upon the railway track. And a very big, gigantic engine comes that way. And what the ant does? It crawls down to safety. The engine does not. So what is the difference in the two? When I asked small boys, they said fear. Ant has fear, engine does not have fear. Engine does not know what is fear. Not that it does not have fear. Fear is a small reaction. The ant is aware, the ant is conscious that I am something or somebody. I won't say ant is conscious and engine is not conscious. I used to tell like that, but my friends pointed out that a Brahman which is consciousness and is all pervading, then there is consciousness in the engine also. But it has not developed I consciousness. So the ant has I consciousness and the engine is not aware of himself. What the ant calls itself, we do not know. We call it ant. But the ant is definitely aware that it is a living being. And so it does not want to die. So first comparison between the engine is gigantic, ant is tiny, but it is aware of it has the I consciousness, engine does not have. Now deliberately, because we want to compare, we have taken gigantic engine and a tiny ant. Now tiny ant is animal. So let us take the biggest animal, elephant, or the most powerful animal, lion, on one side and man on the other side. What is the difference between man and animals? Man is not so gigantic. Yes? Huh? I cannot hear. Man is
intelligent.
What is intelligent? Animals are more intelligent than man. The architects study the nest of that small bird. The ants have more social structure than man. So, intelligence, yes.
It's only body consciousness. Animal has body consciousness, and man has beyond body.
All animals have body consciousness.
Man has mind and more.
Again, I will use Swami Vivekananda's language. Note down those who want. Man is man so long as it struggles to rise above nature. Man is man so long as it's struggling to rise above nature. And this nature is both external and internal. That is the difference between man and animals. If there is no struggle, there is no man. Now, I will analyze this struggle into two parts. Again, Swami Vivekananda's words. Nobody has seen a cow telling a lie. Nobody has seen the tree stealing something. But the cow is always a cow, the tree is always the tree. Eternally, for thousands of years, cow as a cow, tree are trees. Now man tells lies, man steals. But if he rightly struggles, man becomes God. So, struggle for improvement. Okay? And man is a competitor versus nature. Nature says, live in rain or sun. Man goes to caves. That animals also do. But man says, I will build a house. Earthquake-free house, storm-free house. So man struggles for improvement. Man struggles to improve the circumstances or outside world. Now, what is at the root of it? Second factor. Man is aware that he is incomplete. Man is aware that something he wants. That leads him to struggle. And he may struggle life after life, but he remains incomplete. But we have found the difference between man and animals. He becomes more powerful than animals. So much weaponry he develops. So now comes sadhak. There are some men, 1 in thousands, they understand that I have to change myself to gain perfection. I may change the whole world, but I will not become perfect. I may earn any amount of money, I will not become perfect. I may marry, or like the Mohammedans, have 100 children. Why Mohammedan? In the beginning of creation, it was like that. So, I have to change myself. This is sadhak. So, qualitatively different from ordinary man. Qualitatively different. There are many people who are religious. It has no meaning. It has no meaning. What is their religion? They worship this God, that God, and always will pray to God something of the world. Or they may earn punyam and go to heaven. They are not sadhakas. So, struggle to become perfect. Struggle to become perfect by changing oneself. Now, what is to be changed? Our physical habits have to be changed. Our mental habits have to be changed. Finally, our wrong knowledge has to be changed into right knowledge. That we studied last time by the meaning of the old Upanishad. If we are able to illumine ourselves, change our wrong knowledge into right knowledge, then we'll be perfect. But we are not aware of our consciousness itself. So we have to change our mind. In the Gita, for example, in the 13th chapter, 20 special qualities of the mind are described. And the Lord says, Etad jnanam iti proktam ajnanam yadato anyatha. This is called knowledge. Anything other than this is ignorance. So the mental habits have to be changed. And for that sake, a lot of physical habits have to be changed. So, sadhak. Now, it gets directly connected with the purpose of life. Okay? Now, wherein stand these scriptures, Shastra? Rishis. The Shastras are Rishi's guidance to the disciples, not only Rishi's experiences, but Rishi's guidance to the disciples. And mind you, they are guiding each disciple differently. Here we will find that 6 questions and 6 answers. Each question is different. So, these are Shastras. And what is the subject matter of those Shastras? What is the final solution? Purpose? It can be told in 2-3 ways. Jiva Brahmaikyam Shuddha Chaitanyam Prameyam. I and the universal reality, they are one.
Jiva Brahma, Shuddha Chaitanya.
That is Vedanta Sar definition. Now, if they are one, then names I and universal also will not be there. Na? So what will be there? Shuddha Chaitanyam. Consciousness alone. Prameyam. Prameyam means has to be realized. Subject matter of all Upanishads is the identity between the individual and universal reality to be realized. Or subject matter is the realization of the identity between individual and universal. Why? Because then perfection is gained. Because then nothing remains to be achieved. Brahma Veda Brahmaiva Bhavati. That is what Mundak told us. So if you know this identity, we are God. We are the universal reality. Anything remains. God is perfect. Jesus tells in Bible, in the Sermon on the Mount, be thou perfect even as thy Father in heaven is perfect. Language you have to understand. God, Brahman, he calls Father in heaven. As the Father in heaven is perfect, so you should be perfect. That is the goal of life. So one who struggles for this is sadhak. One who understands and struggles to change himself to attain this perfection is sadhak. Okay? And that is the subject matter. Now, one more anubandha is called sambandha, connection. Connection means, I would put this anubandha chatushtaya in 4 simple English words. Because anubandha chatushtaya is connected to study of scriptures, no? What for? Why or what for? That is the purpose, prayojan. Purpose or prayojan can be put as what? What for? Why? Why we are doing all this? And sadhak? Who? For whom? Who will benefit or for whom is all this? That is the adhikar. Subject matter, what we are studying. We must be aware of what we are studying before we enter the study. And always we remember. Otherwise, Gita, economics in the Gita, management lessons in the Gita, social position of women in the Vedas. So, no Shastra will make us realize God. So, we must know that the Shastras are talking about realization of God. Now comes the question, same thing, how to study? With this aim to study, that Shastras will help me. They will tell me how to realize God. So if we study with this attitude that I am studying the Shastras because they will tell me what changes I have to bring in myself so I have to realize Brahman. Now let me put it in some fine language. What to study? Shastras. What to study? Rishi Vakyas. Now what is the Rishi? In whom we see perfection. That is the Rishi. Friends, I am quoting my Guru's words now. What to study? He would say not scholars' books. He did not allow me to touch scholars' books for 15 years. Study Shastras, study Rishi Vakyas. And who is the Rishi? In whom we find perfection. Then how to study? Critically and devotionally. Study critically and devotionally. Critically does not mean we have to criticize him. Analytically, finding the purpose of his talking like that. Why is saying so? Why is saying this at this point? That is critically. And devotionally, that means feeling should be cultivated. That is another problem. Vedanta has become an intellectual study. It does not lead anywhere. Feeling should be cultivated. That is one point of devotion. But again, I go back to my Guru's words. First, feel the gap and try to fill up the gap. This is devotionally. Shastras in every sentence are setting up an ideal. Immediately compare yourself with that. Compare introspectively yourself with what the Shastras are telling. And we'll find a big gap. So first fill the gap. And then try to fill up that gap. That is devotional. Okay? Another what language he himself used, imagine an incident from the Bhakti Shastras. In this, yes, there are a lot of Bengalis. No, I will tell the meaning. Radha is standing, the divine consort of Krishna, those who do not know Radha. And near her, some friend is standing. And at a little distance, somebody has called on Krishna, Shyam. Radha is telling her friend in Bengali, Keba Shunaino Shamanam, Kaner Vitere Dia, Morame Poshinorgo, Akul Korilo Mor Pran. That means, who has uttered the name of Shyam, it went through my ears and it touched marma. Marma means that soft point where life and death meets. And my pran is my being, my heart, has become Vyakul to see that Shyam. He used to say, this is Vedantic Shravan. It has two meanings. With this Vyakulata we are listening, or the Shravan study should make me such Vyakul. Then it is a real study, devotional. So, we have discussed the Anubandha Chatushtay. Now, let us turn to this. This is Anubandha Chatushtay for, you may say, all Upanishads. Now we meet in the Upanishads of Atharva Veda, whether Mundak or Prashna or Mandukya. Prayer. The meaning of Upanishad we discussed last time. It is knowledge which one undertakes and one changes one's consciousness. People think Upanishads are the storehouse of Jnanam. But almost all Upanishads start with a prayer. Now, in our definition of Upanishad, Upa-ni, and ni means Nishchay and Nishtha. Now, what is the purpose of Nishchay? If we do a Nishchay, a resolve that I will do this thing, then all my thinking, feeling, will, all my tendencies become one directional. That is the beauty of Nishchay. Now, there is a small point in Nishchay. I do that. So, a sincere prayer has all the qualities of that Nishchay plus minus ego. Okay? So, that is the sincere prayer. Otherwise, I am praying something and doing something else is not sincere. Now, what is the prayer here? Om. We are not going to discuss Om. We have discussed during Mundak a little. Let me tell that Om is the unspecified nearest name of the reality beyond and near. Reality we call as Nirgun Sagun Brahma. Beyond everything, pervading everything. And the nearest non-particular unspecified name is Om. So, it is by anchoring our mind in that reality that this prayer begins. Bhadram. Bhadram means auspicious. Now here also let me tell you that auspiciousness of this world is different from auspiciousness of spiritual life. For example, in the world, if somebody talks of death, we say, don't talk inauspicious words. But in Kathopanishad, it is death on which the whole spiritual life has been based. So death is not inauspicious for a sadhak. So what is auspicious? That which will help me to realize God is auspicious. Okay. Now Bhadram, Karnebhi Shrunuyama Deva. Ears. hearing by the ears. Why this is mentioned first? Why is there for everything? That is the critical study. That these days we talk of audiovisual education. So hearing influences our life much more than anything else. So first prayer is, by ears may I listen auspicious words. May I listen to those things which will lead me to God. And this is also a subjective and an objective idea. That means people like Sri Krishna, you talk dirtiest thing and they go to Samadhi. I will take a common example. For men, there is a female singer, A means I am giving example, who is singing devotional songs. Now that devotional songs may attract my mind to God, but that girl singing may attract me to her. So it depends upon the state of the sadhak. So I said it is subjective. I see a beautiful flower. I pluck it, smell it, throw it away. Or I pluck it to be placed at God's feet in the temple. Or I don't pluck it at all, it is given to God. Understood? So, two prayers. Oh God, I use may, now I am saying, oh God, because prayer. I may hear only those sounds which, according to my state of the mind, will lead me to God. And may my mind go on changing so that everything becomes holy to me. Okay. Now, to whom is this prayer? Devaha. So I have to explain every word, though I might have done in Mundak. Who are the Devas? Not so many gods, any gods. In Vedas, they are called Anugrahaka Devatas. That means my eyes cannot see if the sun god is not there. So, like my Indriyas, there are Indriyas of the samashti or totality or cosmos. They are devas. Okay. Now, devas sometimes can mean my Indriyas also because they are showing me something. So, it may be prayer to my own Indriyas, but it is normally prayer to the samashti devatas. Now, you will say, where is Advaita? Why you are praying to so many gods? It is practical life. And one understands through Vedanta that all these different gods, call them the limbs of Brahman, call them the different manifestations of Supreme God. So finally prayer goes to Supreme God. And Supreme God, mind you, is my own reality. So we are not going away from Advaita. Prayer is from my shadow personality to my real personality. Okay? Now, second prayer. Bhadram Pashyema Akshabir Yajatraha. eyes, auspicious. So by my eyes, same, subjective, objective. By my eyes, I may perceive always things which will take me to God. My mind should become such that everything takes me to God. Now the last word here is yajatraha. In Sanskrit, Sambodhan and Prathama almost have the same form. So in rhyme with Deva, it may be a Sambodhan. Yajatra. The oldest religion was yajnas, sacrifice. Now the gods for whom were sacrificing, they are yajatra. But it can be and should be, meaning we, the yajatras, are praying. Prathama. We, the yajatras, are praying. We who are engaged in sacrifice. So sacrifice of lower things into higher. Sacrifice of this small I into universal. So if we are praying sincerely, something was expected from our side also. So we are telling God that we are not only ready to sacrifice, but we are living a life of sacrifice. To such as us, please show auspicious things. Please make us listen auspicious things. We are sacrificing people. Now, everything in Vedanta is vertical. That means one after the other. Suppose we are sacrificers. Then, Sthirair Angai Tanuvi Tushtivansa. Tushtivansa is evidently for ourselves. So, if we are sacrificers, the body becomes steady. Limbs of the body and functional parts of the body, they both become unmoving or steady. You may say, we should make them steady. Sacrifice will themselves make them steady, or we have to be steady in our parts of the body and functional parts of the body. And Tushtavamsa, that means, again, Swamiji's words. Swamiji says, if there were no desires, what form would religion take? We'll simply praise God. Oh God, wonderful you are. You know. So, we the sacrificers with steady limbs are praising you. Tushtavansa. And how we live? This last line has two meanings. Vyashema means joyful living. Vyashema means purposeful living, not just counting days. Purposeful living is Vyashema. Joyful living is Vyashema. If we are living purposefully, we are always living joyfully. How much to live? Devahitam yadayu. Whatever God has decided that we want to live. In contrast with the Karma Kanda, where I want to live 100 years, here whatever God you want me to live, I will live, but live purposefully. The other meaning is Deva Hitam. I will not live for myself, I want to live for you. I want to live for God or gods. I want to live for society, not individual. Yadayu, whatever may be my ayu, whatever may be my ayu, I will live for God. So this is the first part of the prayer. Today we saw the Anubandha Chatushtaya, without which the study is not meaningful, and we saw the first part of the prayer. Om Bhadram Karnebhi Shrunuyama Deva Bhadram Pashyem Akshabhir Yajatra Sthirai Rangai Stushtavanshas Tanubhi Vyashema Devahitam Yadayuhu Swastina Indro Vruddashrava Swastina Pusha Vishwaveda Swastina Starkho Rishtanemi Swastino Brihaspatir Dadhatu Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanam.